What's up? We got Switched to Birth Season 1, Episode 1. This is not a pipe. So, yeah, random name for a pilot episode. But this is one of those shows that I wanted to check out because, me doing I want to check it out because I'm currently not, because I'm rewatching Foster's, but I didn't want to watch it right now. So I decided to check this show out. And it's also a show that aired alongside The Fosters and Pretty Little Liars, which is another show that I've recapped. Might go back to review the first episode again. If that's okay with you, this show is not going to interrupt the poll of what I'm doing on the other video that I made. What new show would you like me to, new show alert? This does not interfere with that plan. You guys just got comment on that video. If you want me to recap, if you want me to review Stranger Things, Shots of Diva, Pretty Liars Now, and Heartstopper. Yeah, Heartstopper is now on the list. If you want me to review any of those shows, please tell me on the poll. I didn't put it in the video when I originally uploaded it, but now I've decided to do it. But anyway, let's get on to this episode. So this episode starts off at we meet Bae Kemish. Yeah, she's played by Laura Marano's sister, Vanessa Marano. Hope I'm saying that name right. She's just a normal high schooler with a normal parents and a normal life, and she has a boyfriend who we only see once, I think, in this episode. Actually, twice in this episode. So she's kissing him, and she decides to take her blood. Which taking your blood is kind of So she decides to go home where she sees her mom, her dad, and her brother, who don't look like her in any way. And she even mentions about how they don't even look alike at all. She mentioned about how she and her parents don't look alike at all. So then they get a call about Bae's blood test results. And yep, what this show says, Bae's parents aren't really her parents. She was accidentally swapped with another child, her parents' actual child, and they took home her parents took home the other parent's child. And we see Bae's actual mom pick up the phone, and we meet Daphne. Yes, Daphne Vasquez. Or should we say Kenish? But we're going to call her Daphne Vasquez. She's basically she can only speak in sign language, and she has she can't talk, but she likes to speak in sign language, and she has meningitis. When she was 3, she caught it, and yeah. So basically, Bae first is like, hey, and they're like, hey, and they even bring them over to her house where they're like, oh, yeah, like, this is weird. It's finding out that Bae's parents finding out that Bae's not really their child, and their real child actually was taken in by another family. Kind of, shocking that Bae's mom is not really her mom, but she is her mom. So yeah, so Bae meets with her boyfriend, but she's like, hey, is there anything going on? And she's like, yeah, but I think we should take a break. Yeah, that's not one thing you want to hear, dear boyfriend. That's not one thing you want to hear. So anyway, then, so then there's Bae's dad is like, so Bae decides to meet Daphne and decides to be like, hey, you shouldn't be in this deaf school with all these kids. You should actually go to Bae's school where you'll meet kids your own age who can actually talk. So, or am I phrasing that wrong? Because basically, that's, exactly. So, what happens. So, yeah. So Bay decides to go and paint this, where she meets this guy. And he basically is like, hey, what are you doing in here? And she's like, I'm just in this car. And he's like, okay. And then he meets her later and he's like, hey, do you want some graffiti? And he's like, so, yeah. Meanwhile, Bay gets arrested. And Bay's mom decides to break Daphne's car and decides to phrase it as Daphne's been arrested. So they go to Bay and they're like, Bay, what are you doing? Breaking into cars. And she's like, okay, yeah. And she's like, and then even her original mom, or Daphne's mom, is like, hey, she did a good thing. So then Bay's mom is like, hey, we're gonna sue you to get our daughter, to get Daphne back. And then Mrs. Vasquez is like, don't you dare. And then, so then Daphne's like, what is going on? Stop fighting with Bay and her family. Bay's dad thinks she should actually go to Bay's dad, or her dad. It's kind of confusing, but that's what this show is. So she's like, hey, she should actually go to the school. And then Mrs. Vasquez is like, no, I don't want you to have anything to do with those people. And she's like, he's right. She needs to talk to people her own age instead of talking with deaf people. And she's like, hey, she's not 7. She can protect herself. And she's like, no, you can't. She needs to protect her. And she's like, she needs to protect her. And yeah, that's kind of where that goes. So yeah, so then we see Daphne and her boyfriend, Emmett, who's also sign language and chooses not to talk. He chooses not to talk, so they decide, he kind of chooses not to talk, and he even calls that guy a moron, so awkwardness that's happening. So they decide, so they get on their bike and drive off, and then Bay's mom was like, oh yeah, she doesn't like it, doesn't like it about how she's, integrated with a guy on a motorcycle. So they decide to go and fight. Actually, not fight, but so Bay decides to go over to Daphne's house and basically is like, hey, there's like, and they even meet with, her, and she's like, Bay, this is her grandma, or basically your grandma, Bay's grandma, kinda. It's so confusing how the show works. So they decide to, go and, so then Bay's like, hey, maybe, it's best gas rooms they don't use. And then so Bay's family is supposed to move, Daphne's family is supposed to move to Rio, but then Bay's like, hey, why don't you come live with us? So then that's what happened. We see them moving in with each other. And then she's like, hey, she's like, Bay's mom, you don't have to like her. You don't have to like her. She doesn't have to like you. But this whole arrangement is only for you to get to know Daphne and for her to get to know Bay. So, and then Daphne's brother shows up, the guy that we've been seeing, and he's like, hey, here's a thing that is going on. And then that's when Emmett shows up, and she's like, and then he sign language to Daphne saying, who's that? And then Daphne's like, her, but from another universe. So then they just drive off, and that's how the episode ends. But anyway, that was a really good episode for Switch episode 1. This is not a pipe. I really liked it. It was really cool seeing like a show about. It's kind of weird how this basically like, how could you take out the wrong child? Like, I mean, they're like, why? Like, I guess they didn't ask, but come on, how could they like how could you mistake Daphne for Bae for Daphne? I'm guessing babies look a lot. They look the same, so before they grow up. So, but still, how could you mistake that? And Daphne so far is my favorite character. I love her. She is my new TV child. I'll protect her. She is a joy. She is adorable. She is protected by me. So, show, you better not hurt her or give her anything bad. Do not hurt her, or I will rage it just like I did in Legends Season 2, Episode 11. But yeah, it was kind of cool that Bae let Daphne and her parents and her grandma move into their guest house. Because she didn't want, she just found out that she has a kind of a different version of her from another life that she never knew about. Sort of a sister, kind of. I know. Yeah, they're not sisters. I don't count them as sisters. She found out that her parents took home the wrong baby. So now she has to live with Daphne. And I like Daphne. She's one of my favorite characters. I love her, protect her all the time. So yeah. Anyway, that was it. That was the first review of Switch Emperor. I loved it. It was a good episode. And anyway, I'll see you next time for more Switch Step Burst reviews. Anyway, please vote on what show would you want me to check out next. I will be doing the Pretty Little Liars re-upload because I haven't done What Happened to Allison in a long time. Pretty Little Liars Season 1, Episode 1. So please, if you want more Switch Upburst reviews, please watch this video and like it. Please like it, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for more Switch Upburst reviews.